Hi everyone, I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby here with the choreographer of Hell's Kitchen, Camille A. And what I loved was that when I watched the show, the dancing to me felt like it was the inner emotional life of Ali, your lead figure, and even at times the life of the city itself. And it felt like watching this Greek dance chorus, if you will. And I'm curious what made you construct the choreography that way.
Yes, the book and the music really gave me the opportunity to explore the world. So it wasn't just about setting place and time, which I did using social dances from the 90s, but it also helped me access my modern dance, creative identity, and create a world where we're responding to Ali's emotions. The dancers are representing sometimes elements with Girl on Fire. It just really, the world, the setup really gave me an opportunity to access and enter at different entry points. So it's not just about setting time and space, but it's also about the dancers being time and being space. What does that feel like?
Yeah. The you mentioned the 90s and that comes through so much. This is it really brings the 90s to life. What kind of like cultural touchstones were you drawing from that era?
Well, I'm originally from Jamaica, Queens, New York. So I was definitely drawing. I grew up in the 90s, so that's what I was drawing from. These are social dances that I grew up doing. So it was an opportunity to bring all the experiences that I had as a teenager, as a 17-year-old growing up in New York City. I actually started taking the subway at 13 years old because I went to LaGuardia High School, also known as the Fame School. So it was just a wonderful world to dive into and really put Queens, put New York City, and just really pay homage to the city where I was born and raised.
And some of these, I mean, the whole thing it just screams 90s, but many of Alicia's songs aren't necessarily from the 90s, right? Like
Right,
you have Empire State of Mind or Girl on Fire. So what do
right.
you do for moments like that, keeping in mind the time period? How do you kind of root those in the time period?
Well, I do what I'm interested in. What I normally do with my work is I mix the historical with the contemporary. So hopefully there are times where you're seeing something that feels very 90s, but in a split second it feels very now too. So just like you said, where Empire State of Mind was created after the 90s, it's the same thing. I'm using all of these elements to talk about the historical aspect of where we were, but also bring a contemporary side too. So when we get to that Empire State of Mind, we're living in the now, we're living in the present day, and we feel that.
Yeah. And there's so many, Alicia has been a big part of this musical. Is there
Yeah.
added pressure that knowing that you're going to have to take her songs that people know very well and
Right.
not only present them to the fans of hers, but actually present them to Alicia Keys?
Of course. I mean, the pressure is real, but the beautiful thing is, Alicia has been so supportive throughout the entire process, and I never felt like I had to be something else other than myself. So I would say Alicia and the creative team have just given me the space to be me and put my soul and my heart inside of it.
And the numbers, it's a really huge dance piece. And it's nice because you don't always get in every show like a really full ensemble of dancers. And this one has a
Yeah.
really big dance ensemble,
Yes.
which makes some like Girl on Fire, it's such a great stage picture, a full stage picture. How do you, in a number like that, kind of chart where the audience's eye is going? So it's not just chaos, but you can follow the narrative.
Yeah, it's organized. I mean, there's several things we have to track. We have to track the movement language and where we're going in terms of the progression of the story and how the movement is aligning. So it's definitely about feeling the time, feeling the space, and really trusting instincts too. You really have to do that, especially when you're putting together something and in deep collaboration with people. So it was really a discussion between Michael and I about what are the things that we're tracking within specifically Girl on Fire, this need, this fire that is building in Ali and how that's growing, how she's interacting with the world around her. So it was a very exciting collaboration.
And I think one of my favorite numbers was actually one of the new songs, Kaleidoscope, a
Yes,
new Alicia Keys song. That's a moment where it really feels like the dancers are this energy that Ali is connecting to and are like another part of her in a way. I would love if you
yes.
could just talk about your approach and the way into that number for you.
Well, I definitely wanted to lean into my concert dance movement language side, which not a lot of people in theater may know. So I was really excited to introduce another aspect of the way I move, the way I translate movement language on bodies to people. And Kaleidoscope is a, such an amazing, beautiful song that gives you that element of hip hop, that gives you that element of church. So I was taking these very specific genres that we feel in the body, we feel in our spirit, and how do we expand that in the body? So I was really using the dancers, as you said, as extensions of Ali's feeling. But as you also noted too, the aspect of a dance ensemble. This is I'm thrilled to say this is my fifth Broadway show, and this is actually my first time that I've had a dance ensemble to work with. So it's been exciting to bring another element of who I am and how I move within concert dance inside theater.
Yeah. And this is a song where, unlike some of the other songs that are pre-existing hits, your visual language is really going to be like how people remember this song because it's the way it's debuting. Has that kind of set in that
Yes.
you're really shaping this song from Alicia?
I mean, there's no pressure, right? I mean, I mean, I am just thrilled to be a part of the team. I'm thrilled that I was asked to contribute my movement language to this show. And how special is it that Alicia has created very specific songs for this musical, and I get to put my stamp on it. So it's just been a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah. There are some I mean, there's a few, everyone is amazing, but there's a few feature dancers who really get some standout solo moments and they're really hitting it throughout the whole thing. How much of your concept that you come in with changes when you see what a dancer does in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, you have an idea, you have a thought, you have the story, you have the music. So there's always a plan, but the plan has to be willing to change and morph based on who's in the room. So the dance ensemble are they are a strong unit as an ensemble, but they are so individual in the way they move and each of them have their own swag. So when I come in the room, I'm really responding to how their bodies move in the space. So it's more of like crafting my ideas around the shapes of their bodies. So I'm really excited for people to see this very specific movement language that I created for these very specific and individual dancers.
Yeah. Another one of your major collaborators on this is Michael Greif, the
Yes.
director. And I would love to hear a little bit about your collaboration process with him. How do you all get on the same page and come to a kind of a united aesthetic?
Yeah, well, I would have to say it's been a joy working with Michael Greif on this show. We've wanted to work together for some time, and I think it's really about constantly being in conversation about the world. What is the goal? And just making sure that we're all on the same page, sharing ideas, looking at something together, having discussions about it, playing with different things. It's just been a wonderful collaboration. So that's how we've been able to move in the space together, and we're like dancing in a sense.
Has there been any kind of like surprising discovery that maybe you weren't thinking of that he's brought to the table or vice versa?
Oh, I mean, I think just watching Michael's guidance and direction around the show, his collaboration has been wonderful to see. And but the other thing is he's given me the opportunity to just be myself, which is great. When we were talking about Kaleidoscope, there were a few things that he wanted, but within it, it was really up to me to discover and to create what that world wanted to look like. So I'm really thankful to him for that chance to really show my creative language on a stage.
Mm. Yeah, very cool. I don't know if you've gotten the chance to, I'm sure you have, but to really see the audience reaction to this piece and be in the house, because there are certain scenes where people are really just chair dancing. Basically,
Yeah,
it's like they
yeah.
can't help but to move along with the show. What is that? What's your reaction when you see the audiences do that?
I mean, it takes me back to when I was starting to choreograph and thinking about starting a career in choreography. I didn't know if I could make people feel anything. I was so scared, and just watching other choreographers and how people responded to their movement. So fast forward, I've been creating work and this craft as a choreographer for over 20 years, and to look at the audience and feel their response and see their visual response to something that I created, um it's so meaningful, because I use movement to speak. I was always very nervous as a child because I was teased when I was younger for a small voice. So for people to be able to hear my movement voice, when as a like my vocal voice, I was always nervous to speak it. It's just been it's been really mind boggling, and I think I'm still processing it too. We're gearing up for opening night, and I'm always thrilled and excited, and you never know, audiences are new every day, so you never know how people are going to respond. So there's an excitement there, there's a fear there, all of those things come into play. But when you see them hit their head bop, when you see them respond to Empire, when you see them respond to a song that they've never heard before of Alicia's, and they feel that vibe, they tap into that groove, it feels good.
Yeah. Have you had to change anything because this has been it ran at the Public Theater, now we're bringing it
Yeah.
to Broadway. Has this new space, you're in the Schubert right now, like has that
Yep.
what has that done for the piece?
Yes, I mean, I'm always changing things. So when we were getting ready to transfer, my mind was already shifting about what are the ways that we can take this to another layer. What are the layers that I can add? What are the nuances? I'm listening to the orchestrations. I know those much better now. And so how sitting with the work over time, what are the new things that I can bring into the piece? Because now we are in a different theater, we are looking at three tiers of seats. So how do we do our performance? How do we expand? So it's really was about that.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to ask before I have to let you go back to your
Yeah.
busy schedule. Your collaborator Michael is very busy this season with three shows, but you are also quite busy yourself because you've been resetting Fire Shut Up in My Bones at
Yes.
the Met, which
Yes.
was an amazing piece. I think it's probably the only time that stepping has been incorporated into an opera. Um, what is special to you about that piece? And how are you feeling returning to it right now?
Yeah. Thank you for asking about that, because that's definitely happening in the midst of what's going on.
Yeah.
I think supporting the first Black composer at the Metropolitan Opera, Terrence Blanchard, that was really a wonderful moment, and the whole spirit of it felt triumphant. And as you mentioned, step dance, the opportunity to really implement and incorporate movement from the African diaspora onto the Met stage, in performance, in celebration, and to show the fullness of what that is, through Black bodies, celebrating Black stories, was really something that was truly amazing. And to do that along with celebrating HK, it's a full season, but it's a good full season.
Yes, it's a really great to have both of those at once. I think a really wonderful body of work. So thank you, Camille, so much for sitting down with me, and congratulations on opening. Everyone who's out there, make sure you stick with us this whole season. Camille, thank you again.
Thank you, Sam.